Welcome to Food for Survival on Magnetic Island, and today we're going to talk about keeping chickens. We've got a few options for keeping chickens on Magnetic Island, from very simple to more elaborate. Obviously the most simple one of all is just to let them free range. This is very cheap and they can get a lot of their food from the wild. The downside is that you don't know where they're laying the eggs, and of course they're a little bit more prone to being taken by predators, dogs, cats, birds of prey, especially when they're little like this. So probably the cheapest chook run is the one we're using here, and it's really just chicken wire, a tarpaulin for shade, and some bird netting over the end to stop the chooks getting out and stop the cockies from getting in. And that was quite cheap and quick to set up. Probably only took about half a day and it was ready to go. One of the trickier things to get right with chickens is feeding them and watering them. They've got to have clean water, not fouled by their own feces, and they've got to have access to food. And on the island the big problem is the other animals eating up all the chook food. So this is a local business in Townsville, Diner Chook, and they've come up with some great solutions. This is the chicken waterer, and the chickens just tap that with their beak, and they can't foul it, and that holds enough water for probably 2 or 3 days. And the same with the feeder. They've got to get their heads right inside there to get the grain. So with the long neck of a chicken they can reach it, but it's hard for wallabies and possums and other things to get in there, and virtually impossible for cockatoos to get in. So I mean, we were losing probably half our food to cockatoos before we got these, so that's been a big help. In the wet season it's good to give them some extra water, make sure it's clean every day. In the hot weather they like to drink a lot. And for nest boxes, lawnmower catchers, they love them. And this is just an old box. They never used this one until I put a little curtain on it, and they love getting in there. In fact, all the chickens in this run are laying in there now. Perch for them to sleep on, they like to be up off the ground at night, and the tarp keeps them dry. And that's really all there is to it, a nice simple setup. You can of course go for something more elaborate, and this is a very fancy chook pen that Vince has set up, the Chook Mahal, 2 metre high to stop them getting out, a door and a nice roosting area which we'll have a look at. So Vince's nesting and roosting box, it's got a swing door, low door for the chooks to go up, and a ladder, and easy access at the back here with a latched panel for checking the eggs. And so that comes up like so, getting the eggs out nice and easy. One thing that can be a problem with chooks in the tropics at this time of year is mites, and one natural solution to that is neem. This is dried leaves from a neem bush, and these are found in a couple of locations on the island. They're considered a weed, but they're very useful for poultry. And so you just strip the leaves off and put them in the nest boxes like that. And so when your chickens are coming and sitting in here to laying eggs, then the natural insecticide properties of the neem help keep the mites off the chickens, and making sure they've got plenty of dry sand to dust bathe in is also very helpful. Now chooks really love to free range, and for their own health and the quality of the eggs they really need green forage as well, and there's a few weeds on the island that they really love to eat. This is one of them, the ubiquitous sticky weed, but they'll eat the little seeds off that, plus they'll eat the leaves. So I'm in the habit of just gathering up a handful of that every morning and putting it in with the chooks, and then if you watch them carefully when they come out, you'll notice they go and eat this straight away. And this is another plant that grows commonly as a weed on Maggie and in Townsville, often in the lawns. It's got these little white flowers which give it away, but this one they really love too, and it's actually edible for humans as well. It's a a green you can eat. So in terms of your different breeds of chooks, these are your standard Isa brown, the one that you can buy from Lambert's in Townsville. They're very, very good layers, but they burn out pretty quick. They'll often die by about 2 years of age, or their egg production slows down. They've sort of been bred for maximum egg production. So that's one option, you can buy them over in town. This is another breed. This is the Australorp. This is the one I prefer up here. It's an Australian breed of chicken. They're also very good egg layers. They live a bit longer, they're a bigger bird. And I reckon they look pretty nice too. They're a little bit harder to get hold of. These ones we managed to get from a breeder in Mount Lowe, but there's not many on the island, so we're taking steps to change that. So if you can manage to get hold of an incubator, you can actually get fertilised eggs sent through the mail, and they come really well packaged. They'll survive not being warm for a few days, and then you pop them in the incubator at 38 degrees, and it automatically rolls them over bit by bit, and after 21 days they hatch. And so these are the results. This was the last batch, and these are 2 weeks old now, and these are all purebred Australorps. There's going to be some white ones, and there's going to be some black ones, and this is a very, very good strain of Australorp from down in southeast Queensland, so we're going to get some of that blood onto the island, and the next lot we're bringing through is going to be some beautiful Barneyvelders. So chickens really are quite an important part of a permaculture setup. They are very, very good at converting waste food into eggs. They're actually one of the most efficient converters of food into animal protein that we know of. And of course, all of the plants in your garden do better with fertiliser, and that's the loop that we're closing. We're taking the chicken poop and turning it into liquid fertiliser, and it really makes all your vegetables and plants grow a lot better. So very important part of the gardening system on Magnetic Island. We hope you've enjoyed this fowl segment, and if you have any fowl questions, please don't be afraid to ask them. We love a fowl discourse. We love fowl activity. It's gone.